Hello friends, a very warm welcome to Unsarkari. In this series of environment, the goal is to understand what are the themes which are important for the prelims examination. We have extensively dealt in a very scientific and illustrative manner in all the chapters so that you can directly solve the prelims questions. The second goal is to start giving understanding of environment from the level 0 because as such only since the last 1 or 2 decades that school curriculum is talking about environment through different chapters of science. As such there is no direct and there is no special text in general. So we have taken up all the important themes from all over the world to make you understand what is required in environment. The goal is to make you sensitize that how it is important to understand the value of environment and also to make you a good citizen, not just a future officer, where you can in your daily life apply the concepts of environment, whether it is planting trees, whether it is giving water to the plants in your garden or in your balcony, or even if you are belonging to a village in the rural areas, going to fields and working the same. When we see what is environment, a common parlance terms, and what is ecology, because no microorganism, plant or animal, including men, is isolated. We all are linked together. We are not living in a void. We are not living in a vacuum. That is why we say that we all are surrounded by certain physical conditions. And these physical conditions can be measured in terms of chemical composition, in terms of texture, pressure, temperature, and humidity. What is an example for the same? The example is, for example, we say the air pollution in Delhi. There are physical reasons for the same, there are biological reasons for the same, and we know when we say what is the AQI, the chemical composition, the temperature in summers. We are also surrounded by host of other living organisms. So when concretization is there, we find in urban areas like Delhi or even Mumbai. Mumbai's position is little better than Delhi if you take example. There will be more animals or you can say birds also apart from pigeons. But when we speak about Delhi, when we speak about the unauthorized colonies and when you speak about those areas of Delhi which are not having such greenery, there will be only cows which are actually roaming the streets, and other than that you will find street dogs or you will find pigeons. So when we want to describe microorganisms, plants, animals, foods, parasites, and even their enemies, now the study and interrelationship of all these animals, organisms, including human being, with their physical and biotic environment, that is called environmental biology, or what you can say ecology. Please remember, environmental biology is a term which is in similar ways to ecology. But what is environment? Environment is the natural component in which biotic and abiotic, biotic means living, abiotic means non-living factors are interacting with each other constantly. Now this interaction is shaping the habitat and ecosystem of an organism. For example, when India went on to have cheetahs and we went on to create an ecosystem for them, we wanted to create interaction. So in biological sense, environment is going to constitute the physical, that is the nutrients, water, air, and biological factors, that means biomolecules and organisms, and their chemical interaction. That is why we say that the environment of Himachal Pradesh, the interiors, is getting affected by over exploitation because of tourism. So the chemical cycles, the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, and even water cycle, it will be impacted, and such will be the impact on the biodiversity also. What we can conclude, all organisms are dependent on the environment to carry out their natural life processes and to meet their physical requirements. Same is the true for human being also. But can we say ecology and environmental studies is the same thing? how we can identify the difference? So the continuing increase of human population in India being the largest, or you can say the largest populated country in the world, there is also linked destruction of natural environment, deforestation, use of pesticide and pollutants. Because of these things, now common public is also aware of the term ecology. When we speak about Uttarakhand, we speak about Char Dham highways, we speak about more development or even homestays, then side by side we say हमें उत्तराखंड की इकोलॉजी को बचाना है. So because humans are interested in bringing these terms, that is why we say human environment, human ecology. But ecology in public mind is also identified with broader problems of human environment. दैट इज वाई हम कहते हैं ये इकोलॉजी ठीक नहीं है, इकोलॉजी ठीक नहीं है, एनवायरमेंट ठीक नहीं है. जो भी हम एनवायरमेंट के बारे में बात करते हैं उसको हम इकोलॉजी कह देते हैं. बट व्हाट एक्जेक्टली इट इज? सो द साइंस ऑफ इकोलॉजी is concerned with environment of everything, that is all plants and animals and not just humans. And ecology has much to contribute to understand humans and their environment. So what we can say is ecology is the same thing to environment what the physics is to engineering. So a broader Venn diagram and a smaller one. So ecology is a subset, physics is a subset to engineering, ecology is a subset to environment. So we are constrained by the laws of physics when we are, when we are building aeroplanes and bridges. Similarly is the thing, we are also constrained by the principles of ecology when we are altering the environment. Remember Silkyara tunnel collapse. Remember the kind of big challenges that we are overcoming in Jammu and Kashmir, whether it is taking the train to interiors of Kashmir or whether it is the Chenab River bridge or whether it is about the hydrological projects which are there in Uttarakhand, about which Supreme Court is also speaking about. So the question is that how we can understand the historical background of ecology. Indian philosophers have also played important role. Greek philosophers have also played important role. So Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, and even epic literature is also talking about ecology. Charak, he went on to identify Vayu, Jal, and Desh as very important in regulating the lives of people and not just plants. The great classical Indian poet Kalidas, he had also spoken about ecological uh, terms, ecological ideas, not in a direct manner in his work in his classic Ritu Sahar, Meghdoot and Abhigan Shakuntalam. Even name are also linking that. In India, our festivals are also linked with ecology. Whether it is Rangoli Bihu, whether it is Vishu, whether it is Baisakhi, or whether it is about Ugadi. So, but do we find the same kind of environment outside when we are celebrating these festivals? Then this is the whole question. When we go in the beginnings, then Hippocrates played very important role to understand ecological background for medical students. Aristotle also made references to the habits of animals and environmental conditions prevailing in those areas. And similarly, Theophrastus, who is regarded as the first true ecologist, he went on to write about association of plant communities and relations of plant to each other and the non-living environment. That means first integrated approach. But here I am also giving an example of Indus Valley civilization, where we find seals, where we find people worship, where we find the uh, interaction between human beings and culture and also natural environment. And one example is also the dockyard at Lothal. Indirectly, they are also examples of ecology. In the 18th century, we say the role was played for the first time in systematic understanding of this knowledge by Buffon. And then Bradley recognized the fundamental similarities of animal husbandry and production, and he proposed methods for maximizing agriculture yields. So industrialization is first coming up in England and in Europe. Similar is the case with the understanding of ecology because India was going through colonial period. Adaptation. What is adaptation? That means when an animal or plant, it cannot survive in its habitat. So they will have to adapt to become suitable in that climate. So the people coming from South India, people coming from high altitudes, when they come to Delhi, when they are staying in Delhi in the high extreme temperature, they generally fall ill at times. Then slowly by slowly their immunity increases. Every day we read about people living in Delhi, they are having pollution equal to 20 cigarettes. So why I'm giving examples of Delhi? because not only UPSC headquarters is also here. Delhi is the capital of India. It must be awakened. It must be a role model for rest of India also. Giving two more examples, camel, it needs to store water in its guts and fat in their humps so that they can walk long in the deserts. That is why they are called ships of desert. Similarly, penguin also need streamlined arms. It is able to swim gracefully. Please do look at this graphic very carefully. Crop rotation. Look for examples. Intercropping, agroforestry, green manuring, conservation tillage, bioagents and manuring. They all are the key features of sustainable agriculture. Prelims is asking you questions. Difference between intercropping and crop rotation. What are the types of bioagents, and also it is asking about even green manuring and also conservation tillage. We will discuss that in details, but you must be aware of it, and wherever you feel like, you can always write back the questions. Again, very important understanding is there for morphological adaptation. जब हम कहते हैं what are the types of adaptation, in that morphological adaptation is there. Morphology, that means physical characteristics are evolving, physical characteristics are changing. Longer hair, non-functional sweating glands, large lung and heart, these are the adaptations according to the nature, according to the environment or topography. When we give example of physiological adaptation, that means inside it is there. For example, certain animals, certain even in human beings also, when we say certain people will have higher concentration of hemoglobin because their work profile, the way they are living, and the environment makes so. Thin walled pulmonary arteries and even peripheral vasoconstriction. So these are the words which are not too technical, but when you read in biology, you will find that these are the adaptations inside our body. When we say biochemical adaptation, if you are having less amount of water, you will be passing on less urine. Females have to adapt to these conditions because no such high profile facilities for toilets and even safety, and there are large number of dark spots. So female locomotive drivers or female females, those who are in police duty, those who are in high tough jobs where there are no such facilities, they will have to adapt themselves. So this is called biochemical adaptation. Higher lactate dehydrogenase activities in the muscles. Similarly, is genetic adaptation, which is because of genes. EPS1V, GFA, CAM2K. You can look for more examples also because the survival chance increases because of these adaptations. One more example I am giving here, though it is a little hazy, but we go for it. For one example is of the pine trees, other is of water lily. So pine trees survive in cold regions, but unlike lilies, it cannot survive in water because water lily is having adaptations which makes them suitable for surviving on water and in water. As similar is the case with the pine tree, they both cannot survive in each other's environment. Same thing we say about our food. India is having a Baramasa culture. We have a culture of having gulgule. We have a culture of having puda. We have a culture of having khichdi. We have a culture of having different kind of food products in different parts of the year. But then now what is happening? Every time you are ordering biryani, every time you are ordering chicken butter, every time you are ordering Coke, every time IPL is coming up, and then a different kind of commercialization and commodification is happening. So it is also a danger for environment. Give you example of water lily. So the leaves have many pores on their upper surfaces so that air is coming out into the leaf. So the what air is helping? It is helping the leaf to keep afloat. Please do look carefully. And air is also traveling down the stem. So there are special tubes to provide oxygen to the roots. So thin and flexible stems. No need to build a strong stem because leaf is having such facility, I should say, and such way that it is held up by water. So these are examples. Please do look here also how the pale pink flower, broad flat leaves are there at the top, long gas filled stems, and then you have thick roots. Now let's understand the evolution of ecology in the 19th century. When we see that in the modern times, on one side there is growth through industrialization. On the other hand, we are saying that there is more understanding. So that is why Humboldt, he went on to travel in tropical and temperate South America. So you can just think of in today's time how Amazon forest, or for that matter deserts, or for that matter other kind of terrains, and also the lifestyles. it is going to make one understand that what kind of plants and animals are there with respect to their climate. Think in terms of Himalayas, think in terms of Deccan Plateau or even Western Ghats. Edward Forbes, he went on to note that one kind of species which are found in one zone, they are having maximum development potential in that zone, but they may not be found in other kind of zones. So same is true for Gir lions. Same is true for, say, for example, one horn rhino in Kaziranga. That is why there is a kind of a zonation pattern. Similarly, Forbes also recognized the dynamic aspect of interrelationship between these organisms and the environment. What is true, if environment is changing adversely, then species are being wiped out. That is why UPSC examination is also asking that what kind of species are endemic, what kind of certain species are being wiped out, what kind of certain species they are becoming extinct. Not everyone, but we have to understand which are having a common general and they are coming in examination through current affairs. Similarly, the role of Saint George Jacon Mivart, he coined the term hexicology, and he defined it that the devoted to the study of the relations which exist between the organisms and their environment as regard to the nature of the locality they are frequenting, the temperatures and the amount of light which is suiting them, and the relation with other organisms including enemies, rivals, accidental or involuntary benefactors. So what we can say, so can we find snow leopard everywhere? Can we find polar bear everywhere? What about the penguins? What about different such animals which are having uh, specific zones and specific habitats? Tiger, lizard, or try to understand the even sparrow. So it is in this context that we have to understand that environment is going to play very important role, especially in the coming times. So Haeckel and he is going to propose the term archaeology, and he is speaking about how the term can be evolved. So the relations of organisms to organic and inorganic environment. That is how the modern term ecology is coming from the word ecology. Henson, in his classical paper, The Lake as Microsome, he is going to suggest and speak about that how the lake was an organic complex. It is affecting uh, one species, it is affecting other species, but then certain kind of interrelationship is there between the whole assemblage. So therefore, each species is maintaining a community of interest with other species. So phytoplanktons, whales, or even we have spoken about in our current affairs discussions about uh, dolphins. So we have to understand that you cannot just limit understanding to one single species and can understand the importance of the whole ecology or environment. For that, we have to go through the whole system. So ecological community is defined as a group of species that are commonly found together. Maybe animal or plant assemblages with similar habitat requirements are there, and certain species may influence each other or rely on similar processes in the environment. That is why examination is asking you that what is happening in case of when eutrophication is taking place, or for that matter, the symbiotic relationship between different associations. We will discuss about it later. So branches of ecology or ecology is dealing with the study of individual organism or individual species in this life histories and behavior as a means of adaptation to the environment are usually emphasized. The individual is the key word here. Sin ecology deals with a group of organisms, that is unit or kind of a community. It is experimental and inductive, that is art ecology is experimental and inductive, whereas syncology is philosophical and deductive. So we have to just find the differences. In examination, theoretical concepts are very less probable to come over. They are coming in UGC and other exams, but over here, by understanding, we can help in retaining more information and we can help in having data collection also. So syncology is further divided into aquatic and terrestrial. Aquatic ecology includes freshwater, estuarine and marine ecology. Terrestrial will be further divided into forest, grassland, cropland and desert. It is also when we speak about the terrestrial ecosystems, you can always divide and understand in terms of microclimate, soil, chemistry, nutrient and hydrological cycles and productivity. So none of the elements are missing out. When we are talking about agroclimatic system, when we are speaking about animal husbandry, when we are speaking about even human habitat, when we are speaking about even marshy lands of you can say mangrove forest, when we are speaking about Andaman Nicobar Islands, or when we are speaking about even corals, everywhere these elements are becoming important, and that is why in examination different kind of forest systems are also being asked. This is a theoretical classification just to make you understand. Habitat ecology, dealing with the study of different habitats or biosphere, that is marine ecology, freshwater ecology, and terrestrial ecology. Terrestrial ecology is further divided into forest ecology, cropland ecology, and even grassland ecology according to the study. We will see it little further through examples and more, the next chapters. Ecosystem ecology is dealing with the analysis of ecosystem from the structural and functional point of view, including the interrelationship between the abiotic and biotic factors. So again, I am repeating the same concept which I discussed in the beginning of our lecture, that there is a kind of a constant and also involuntary systematic interaction between the biotic and abiotic factors, between physical and chemical factors. Conservation ecology deals with the methods of proper management of natural resources, whether it is land, water, forest, sea, mines, for the benefit of human beings. So in context of India, can you think of certain kind of developments? Coastal regulation zones, or even in context of wetlands, UPSC is asking questions. Similarly, in the context of what kind of steps are being taken to preserve soil, to preserve to prevent, I should say, erosion of land. So we have United Nations programs also there which are there to prevent desertification. We also speak about Bonn Convention, which is speaking about how migratory birds are very important to sustain environment and ecology. We also speak about the red uh, book. So there are different examples. First, we are just understanding the key concepts. It is the modern subdivision of ecology, that is production ecology, dealing with the gross and net production of different ecosystems. Now, UPSC is also asking you, green washing. There are terms coming up, green GDP. So freshwater, sea water, crop fields, orchards, they all are linked with the proper management, how to have maximum yield. We are using scientific techniques. We have different national institutes in the Ministry of Agriculture website. If you go over there, that is why examination always asks you certain names. Radiation ecology is dealing with the gross effects of radiations and radioactive substances. So in this context, nuclear power becomes very, very important, and we have discussed it in our science lectures and also in the current affairs. Taxonomic ecology is concerned with the ecology of different taxonomic groups, eventually including various subdivisions like plant ecology, insect ecology, invertebrate and vertebrate ecology, microbial ecology, and so on. Human ecology is dealing with the relationship of man with his environment, that is obviously. So, space ecology, which is also a kind of a modern subdivision of ecology, which remains concerned with the development of partially or completely regenerating ecosystems for supporting life of man during long space flights. So, human always had fantasy, and we are still thinking about how to colonize Mars. We had just discussed that how Sunita Williams, she had an extended stay in the space, and when she came back, we are now studying what kind of impacts are there on her body, so that we can understand how human behavior is there. We have also tried to see the impact of growth of plants in the space without soil and so on. So this is indirectly and directly linked with environment. Systems ecology is the most modern branch of ecology. It is dealing with the analysis and understanding of the function and structure of ecosystem with the use of applied mathematics such as advanced statistical techniques and mathematical models and computer science. So these are the ideas, and we have just discussed about certain disciplines and certain kind of divisions. But what is the relationship of ecology with other disciplines? So genetics. So it is linked with genetics because in case of every organism, there is a role of gene, or there is genetic plasticity because there is a kind of a dynamicity. So environment is only going to favor those organisms which are having genetically predisposition towards their survival. So if your genes, if any animal's genes are such that they can handle stress, they can handle physical, chemical, biological stress, then definitely they are going to survive better. This is studied through ecological genetics. This is linked with humans and animals and even with the plants. Paleoecology, that means the movement of biotic elements based on paleontological evidence, Evidence of the past, that is fossils, that is ancient ancestral organisms and environmental conditions existing in the past. So again, we can give example of mammoth elephant, we can give example of that wolf which we are trying to revive through genetics, but then whether it will be possible or not. We can speak about the dinosaurs, we can speak about those trees which are even still existing, the oldest trees in the world, how they have survived, what kind of elements have helped them to survive. Ecophysiology, the factors of environment have direct bearing on the functional aspect of organisms. Ecophysiology deals with the survival of population as a result of functional adjustment of organisms with different ecological conditions of ecosystem. So you see how the men went on to live, and habitat is there in all parts of the world, whether it is new world, whether it is the old world. Similarly, chemical ecology deals with the adaptation of animals or preferences of particular organisms, like certain insects are attracted to certain kind of plants and for pollination. So this is also changing. Scientists are studying the behavior. Pedology is the branch of terrestrial ecology dealing with the study of soil. So it is acidic, alkaline, humus content, mineral content, soil type, black soil, or it is red soil, or it is sandy soil, or it is kind of a alkaline soil, alluvial soil, and then that soil is facilitating what kind of development. Ecogeography is the part of that understanding where we are studying the role of environment in animal distribution, how environment has facilitated certain kind of species of animals and even flora and fauna both, I would say that it is distributed all across the world. So it is related with biogeography, the structural and function relations of living organisms in a space. So zebra, or even for that matter kangaroo, or for that matter if you see giraffe, how they are linked and how they are having a propensity to develop and to grow in a certain environment, though they are found across the world in protected environment. So ecofloras and ecofaunas are the lowest units which you must remember. Ecological energetics is deal with the energy conservation and its flow in organisms within the ecosystem. So here thermodynamics is also playing a very important role. So what is the significance of ecology for men? What is the significance of ecology for men? Or man is also significant for ecology. That is why we say that man himself an organism with an environment. We have also having our own environment, and we are influenced by physical features, and we are absolutely dependent on other species for our survival, for our food, for our clothing, for our growth, everything. And we have to adjust to other individuals also, because the way indiscriminate urbanization, indiscriminate deforestation, indiscriminate soil erosion, indiscriminate population, indiscriminate growth is happening, it is very important for our own existence on the planet that we must adhere to certain rules. But this indiscriminate control of different pathogens or pest, bacteria, fungi, weeds, insects, rodents, and different chemical poisons or pesticides, for example, bactericides, fungicides, and insecticides, and the release of massive quantity of radioactive debris, that is xenobiotics, through chemical compounds synthesized by humans which are not naturally found in living organisms and not normally metabolized or broken by them. What we are trying to understand. Our courts are also saying that Ma Ganga and Ma Yamuna must be preserved and we must not allow anything to go into it. We are also the one who have suffered recently from corona. We are the one who are suffering from new and new zoonotic diseases. We are the one who are suffering from types of flu. So just think what we have just said. When you make your own notes, when you are revising these lectures, you will understand that everything what we are talking is intricately linked with the understanding. So as I just said, urbanization must be there, but it must not be indiscriminate. Population must grow, but in a certain way. And scarcity of wildlife, food, and open space is very uh, hazardous for us. So wildlife must also be there, ample food must also be there, and open space is also very important. But what we are trying, we are actually creating single species ecosystem. That is why agriculture and forestry, when they are focusing upon monoculture, जो अच्छा लगा वो उगा दिया, जो अच्छा लगा वो कर दिया, जिसमें पैसा है वो करेंगे. So dangers are also there. Diversity of species are also species is also getting lower over much of the world. The grasslands, they are getting disrupted, energy balance is being disrupted, overgrazing, and what we can say that mountain sides and silt clock streams and lakes, you think about what happened because of the floods in Uttarakhand. You think why there was a burst of lake in Sikkim, or one can think about why there are excessive rainfall leading to excessive flooding in urban metropolitans like Bengaluru. So these are all the elements which we need to find solutions, and that is what examination also wants you to do. Now let's see certain terms. Individual, a single organism with unique set of genetic instructions. Population, a group of organisms with same species that live in the same area. Community, a group of organisms of different species that live together. Ecosystem, living and non-living environment is coming together, it is interacting, and there is exchange of gases, energy and nutrients. Biome, a large region with a specific climate, okay, please remember. And biosphere is entire earth, including every ecosystem, climate and oceans and geology. So you must prepare your own notes. We will discuss the questions also. You must also try to write back the feedback wherever you feel like. And our courses are based upon complete understanding of the subject, thereby helping you to create a pedagogy where honesty, commitment to success, and your goal must be achieved are the paramount important points. Thank you very much. See you in the next lecture with Ansarkari.